Have you ever had one of those toothaches? You know the one, so intense it feels like it's taking over your entire world. Well, that sharp, throbbing, you can't ignore it pain, it's not just pain. It's actually a distress signal coming from deep inside your tooth. And in this explainer, we're going to decode exactly what that signal is trying to tell you. I mean, really, why is that? How can a problem in such a tiny little space cause a level of pain that can feel worse than a broken bone? For a dentist, figuring this out is a huge challenge, mostly because the real problem is happening somewhere they can't even see. And when you're sitting in that dental chair with a tooth that's screaming, your dentist's entire diagnosis, their whole thought process, really boils down to this single number. It represents the three possible paths forward, the three crucial decisions that will determine the fate of your tooth. Based on everything they can figure out, the dentist has to make a call. Can they just restore the tooth, maybe with a simple filling? Do they need to go in and perform a root canal to remove the damaged tissue inside? Or is it too late? Does the whole tooth just have to come out? We're talking three vastly different outcomes, and it all hinges on getting the diagnosis exactly right. So why is getting that diagnosis so hard? Well, because for the dentist, it's kind of like trying to solve a mystery that's happening inside a locked box. This quote really hits the nail on the head. The dentist can't just, pop the top off the tooth and take a look at the pulp, that's the living tissue inside. They have to rely on all these indirect clues to piece together what's going on, which makes the whole thing incredibly tricky.
Okay, so to really understand this mystery, we need to go inside that locked box. We need to meet the main character in this whole drama, the dental pulp. So what is the dental pulp? It's the soft, living core of the tooth. You can think of it as the tooth's heart and its brain all rolled into one. It's got everything needed to keep that tooth alive, blood vessels bringing in nourishment, and of course, the nerves that send those incredibly powerful pain signals. Now, the pulp's unique setup is both its strength and its greatest weakness. Flaw number one, it's trapped inside a rigid, bony prison. Think about it. If you sprain your ankle, it swells up, right? The skin can stretch. But when the pulp gets inflamed and swells, it's stuck inside the hard walls of the tooth. It has literally nowhere to go. So the pressure just builds, and that's what causes that excruciating pain. And if that wasn't bad enough, here's its second fatal flaw. Its lifeline. All the blood, all the nutrients the pulp needs to survive have to come through one single, tiny opening at the very tip of the root. There's no backup supply. So when that one little lifeline gets squeezed shut by all that swelling, the pulp is effectively cut off, starving it of everything it needs to heal itself. Okay, so we've got this delicate, vulnerable tissue. It's trapped in a box, and it has a really fragile supply line. Now let's look at what actually triggers the inflammation in the first place, the condition we call pulpitis. Pulpitis can be caused by a few things, trauma, like a cracked tooth, or even something called iatrogenic, which basically means it's an accidental result of other dental work, like heat from a drill. But the source material is crystal clear. The most common, the most important cause is bacteria. It's the toxins that seep in from a cavity that launch an all-out assault on the pulp. And this brings us to the most critical part of our story. This is the tipping point. It's the moment where the battle for the tooth is either won or lost, and it separates a minor issue from a major, major problem. This right here is how you decode your tooth's signals. With reversible pulpitis, the pain is like a sharp but really brief warning. It's usually triggered by something like cold or sweets, and it goes away pretty quickly. This is your pulp screaming, hey, there's a problem, but I can still recover if you fix it. But with irreversible pulpitis, the pulp has been damaged beyond the point of being able to heal itself. The pain can start on its own, for no reason, and it lingers long after any trigger is gone. This is the pulp's final, desperate cry for help. And if those early warnings get ignored, the problem just gets worse, following a very predictable path. What starts as that reversible pulpitis can become irreversible. The pain starts to linger, then it becomes more constant, more throbbing, and if it's still left untreated, that inflammation eventually chokes off that fragile blood supply, leading to the final stage, pulp necrosis. This is the end of the line. The living tissue inside the tooth actually dies. Now, what's tricky is that at this point, the pain might even go away for a while because the nerves that were sending the signals aren't alive anymore. But don't be fooled, the problem is far from over. Now that dead tissue can become a breeding ground for a really serious infection. So how in the world does a dentist piece all of this together? How do they figure out if that pulp has reached the point of no return and then decide which of those three paths they need to take? To solve the mystery, dentists pretty much become detectives. They gather clues from a whole bunch of sources. They always start with your story, what you tell them about the pain. Then they combine that with x-rays, visual exams, and a bunch of specific tests, like tapping on the tooth or applying cold. Each test is another piece of the puzzle. And only by putting them all together can they make that final call. Is this reversible or is it irreversible?
So the next time you feel that twinge of pain from a tooth, hopefully you'll have a much better idea of the urgent message it might be sending. Is it a brief, fleeting warning that you can still do something about? Or is it that lingering cry telling you that the point of no return is getting close? Now you know what your tooth is trying to tell you.